Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Ksenia Arnaud. She is a serial tech entrepreneur, co-founder of Leave VPN, and a business coach. And she helps women in tech build profitable, resilient, tech-driven businesses without quitting their corporate jobs. So we learn from her why smart, high-achieving women struggle to start, the three silent killers of new businesses, and how to launch safely without burning your lifetime. Welcome to the show, Ksenia.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to contribute to the show.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Ksenia. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, a lot of women across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can build a resilient tech business, and much more we'll talk. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Of course. Well, just a little bit about me. Probably, as you see by my name, I was born in the Soviet Union in the Ural Mountains. But when I was 21, I moved to Europe, to Paris, to do my master's degree in international business. And this is where I started my career in France. And it just so happened that my first corporate job was in a tech company, which I believe was very lucky for me because it turned out I love tech. So fast forward 5 years in that company, I realized that, well, I thought I need more education. So I went to do my MBA at INSEAD, which completely changed my perspective on the business world. And it also opened doors for me to start having an international career. And my first job was in Bali, my job after MBA, to do a turnaround of a luxury real estate company. And that job was really exciting. And by the way, I love Asia, and I've worked with a lot of people from India. I really love India as well. In that corporate job, I realized that I was actually ready to start something of my own. And this was the moment when I co-founded my first tech company, Le VPN, which is a VPN app for private individuals based in over 100 countries right now and in 5 languages. And this company has been profitable since day one, and it just now turned 15 years old. And as I worked in that company, I've realized that there were certain things that I wanted to share with other business owners who were coming up to me and asking, how did we manage to grow this company organically and profitably without any outside investment? And that's when I started a little bit on the consulting path, which then turned into a coaching path, and it turned into working with INSEAD Business School as a coach on their executive programs, the very same school where I did my MBA. And after doing that for almost a decade now, I've realized that I've been seeing patterns of what helps some companies and some projects succeed and why other projects fail. And this is how my own system got created, which I call the weatherproof business method, which I now teach inside my signature coaching program and incubator for women in tech. And all of this experience and my background turned into me realizing that my mission, something that I really want to do in life, and what I focus on right now, is helping other women in tech like me build their own businesses in a very resilient and profitable way, when they don't require any outside investment, and start doing that while they still have the safety net of their corporate job, so that they can build up that exit plan confidently if that is what they want eventually, or keep this a business as a side business if they prefer.
Absolutely, absolutely, Zenya. So to understand it, a lot of people have that business mindset. So they will find a way out. Here you are talking about, that people want to start a business, but then they stop from starting because they have other things to think of. Is it the lack of mindset for a business entrepreneurial, roller coaster? Because that's a totally different sort of a thing. Or is it, I want to understand the mindset of people, what stops them, especially women you work with. Obviously,
Yeah.
everyone, men also want stability, women also want stability. But then those who want, you win some, you lose some. Help us
Mm.
understand in that backdrop. Why is it that some are still able to create something? Not that they are from, they have a lot of backup or plan B or C or D. Is it because they just believe more in themselves? From that point of view, help us understand.
Of course. I feel like there's two questions in one. The first question is why some people stop. Why is it so hard to start your own business? And I think you're right. There's a little bit of a mindset because starting something from scratch is really, really hard. And when you just look at this whole idea, it can feel very overwhelming because there are just so many things to do, and you are there. If you're starting on your own, you're just one person in this business. And what I'm hearing from my clients and the women I work with is when they're starting, they simply don't know what to focus on, what should be their next best step, because it feels like everything needs their attention and everything needs to be done at once. The product, the marketing, the sales funnels, the positioning, like there's just so much. And that is why I created this program for them, the Weatherproof Business Launchpad, that simplifies the process by showing them the exact roadmap, what they need to be focusing on week by week, so that in 3 months' time, they have validated their idea, and they found that fit of understanding who the customer is and the product or the service that those customers really need, so that there's really, really good fit found in there through actual conversations with customers, which all leads as a result for them to have a wait list of customers who are ready to pay for their product or service before they even build this. And the roadmap and this whole structure that I created, how to get there in 3 months, is all based on the framework that I created working with over 1,000 executives at INSEAD Business School and also in my own coaching practice. And then, so your second question to this, if I understood it correctly, was, why do some projects fail and other projects succeed, correct? So my answer to that is based on, as I said, working with over 1,000 people, and actually a lot of people from India. I work with a lot of executives from Tata Consulting. I've realized that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, they love starting from the end. They're building backwards. They get this business idea and they say, okay, if they're a software developer, I'm just going to develop that app, I'm going to develop that product. Or if they're in a more creative role, like they start building the product. And then even if they have the agile mindset and they release a very light beta version of this, they already spend a lot of time and energy and sometimes invested money into building it. And then they realize that they have nobody to sell it to because they started from the end. What I found the most successful businesses do, first of all, they validate the market demand. So they shift the perspective and they start thinking from the perspective of what problem do I want to solve? And who do I want to solve this problem for? And very often when we're building something of our own, it comes from our own experience or from the problem we saw in our organization or in our own life, and we want to solve it. And this is a great start because this is how most of the business ideas come to us. But you need to make sure that you're not alone, that there's a market, that you're not a unique person who experienced this problem, and that there are more people out there, and especially that they see it as a problem and they want it solved, and they want it solved so much that they're willing to pay for it. So that's the market validation stage of understanding, validating that the problem actually exists, and then understanding who exactly those people are. And once you identify that, you fit the product for them. So you actually build something that they've explicitly requested for you to build, instead of building it from your own head. And the most successful businesses, they pre-sell the idea or the product or the service before even building it. Like, look at Apple, for example, in the very, very first iPhone. Like, they announced it, they didn't even build it yet, or they didn't build it in the quantities that people would eventually get, and they got this huge waiting list and huge queues for the product. The people were waiting for it. And the same thing happens in SaaS and software companies, and you name it, like training services, consulting. It can be anything. It can be any product or service where you create the demand first and then you fit the demand later, investing finally your money, energy, and resources into building it.
Absolutely. So, is that sort of a smooth transition possible even in today's time when there is everything? You have got the AI also, you have got everything. You can still be in stealth mode and still continue to do your work as a full-time person. Do you think this is the best of times or not so good times for starting a tech business for someone who already have a stable job in today's time?
I think it's always a good idea and a good time to start something of your own. And especially now in the age of AI, when AI can do all the heavy lifting, like, it's never been a better time and an easier time to start something of your own. Like, today you can be a one-person team in a multi-million-dollar business if you build it the smart way and if you leverage technology. And this is exactly what I teach, and the message that I'm trying to send is that technology is our friend. Technology is an enabler, but we need to be smart enough to understand how to leverage it so that it does all the things that we don't want to do, or in which we're not so good at, and takes care of all the routine tasks, so that we can use our resource and our potential as human beings to actually direct it in the right strategic direction, because the business is still ours, right? We're still the brain power behind this business. But absolutely, AI and technology is something that made these businesses and this business creation so much easier than before. And in the today's environment, I think it's a good idea to have a backup plan, especially for women and men working in the tech companies. Like, we see so many layoffs happening all the time, and people, I've had conversations like with very senior women in tech who've been in top tech companies for over a decade, and then it comes to them as a surprise that the time in that company is finished, and they're offered a budget to retrain or to do something else, and then they're completely lost because it was a part of their identity. So what I recommend doing is start reflecting already on your business idea, what that could be, what is the problem that you really want to solve for a specific niche of clients to whom you can really relate, because it's very important to work with people you actually enjoy being around. And then start building it gradually with just a couple of hours per week. I recommend minimum 5 hours per week to invest into your project as you're building on the side. And then once you have the confidence that the business idea that you have, that this is what people actually want and need, and start having that first waiting list of beta clients who want to test your product, who want to enroll, who want to try it out, then you know that you're onto something that is worth investing more of your time in.
Right, right, Ksenia. So you are a business coach. What are the questions that you get, especially from women who want to get started but are not able to? What's stopping them in today's time?
I think confidence is a big thing. The question I always get is, can you tell me if my business idea will work? And the answer is I always give is, it's not for me to decide whether your business idea will work and whether it is needed. Only your customers can tell you that. So only by knowing who you're building it for, who exactly your customers are, and by talking to them and getting that feedback on what you're working on, can give you that confidence and that validation if you're on the right track. No business coach with no matter how many years of experience or hours of coaching can give you. There's no absolute truth. The market is the truth. Does it answer your
Absolutely. So,
question?
right. So how does one get started? What are the first few steps that one can take while being in whatever job, tech job that they are in?
Yeah. So, well, as I said, I've created the whole system, and I'm actually usually sharing that in a 1 hour masterclass I run several times a year. It's a free masterclass where I share my whole framework, and there's 4 steps that you want to take when you getting started and want to test your business idea. And the first step is always starting with your why, because we're talking about building a resilient business that will last at least 5 to 10 years to actually see a real traction, right? For it to become profitable, automated, and give you time freedom as a business owner to actually enjoy your life when the technology does the work for you. And this is what I've created in my own tech company, LiveVPN, that I mentioned in the very beginning. And in order to go through this 5 to 10 years, especially the first 5, which are the most turbulent, right? There's so many ups and downs. You need to make sure that you have strong reasons for creating this business. That means that the problem you're solving with your business probably needs to be anchored in something deeper in yourself, and I call it your why. And an exercise that you can do in order to understand whether your why for your business is strong enough is a 7 whys exercise. You can ask yourself why 7 times. You start by, okay, why am I starting this business? And you get an answer. And then, and the answer could be, okay, I want to have an exit plan for my career. And then you ask yourself, why again? And why do I want to have an exit plan for my career? And then you get another answer. And then you ask yourself 7 times like this to go deeper. And usually the first 3 or 4 answers are really easy to answer, but the further you go, the deeper you go, the harder it is. But this is where the truth is. And you need to make sure that your why is strong enough to carry you through all the turbulence of the first years of starting this business, and the resilience of your business. The resilience of any business is very much linked to the resilience of the founder, who will either keep going and make it a success or will eventually give up, because it is hard. So I always say that the why is the first step. And then the second step is clearly identifying the who. So I've already mentioned it earlier, who your customer persona is, what is the niche for whom you are creating the product or service, and then really going and having conversations with those people to make sure that you're not imagining it, that the problem that you've identified actually exists, and that it exists not only for you, but for your target customers. And once you speak to at least 5 to 10 people in your niche, you will get a lot of the insights of the direction you could take. And then this is when you're ready to do the what, which is creating the offer that you can present to the market. And then the last step is the how. And the how is figuring out the whole business model around the problem that you validated for the specific niche that you've identified and validated. I just gave you like a 1 minute recap of the whole system. But for those who are interested to learn more, are very welcome to attend my masterclass.
Absolutely, Ksenia. You have explained it well. My last question to you is, that if one is looking at stability and still wants to do a business, tech nowadays is moving very, very fast. And you are, from the sidelines or within the confines of your present stable job, you can build something important. But then how long will you continue to run it or maintain it from outside without actually jumping into the thick of things? Because sometimes, or many a times, the risk today is in tech business is that your idea may also get fossilized very fast before you even realize it. How does that work? How much time do you have for your idea to continue to be relevant? You build something very important, tomorrow it is important, and you are still within your stable job. Day after tomorrow, that idea is gone, it is back to zero. How does that work on the ground?
Okay. Well, that is why you want to build a resilient business that adapts to the market. And the only way to make sure that your business is constantly adapting to the market and constantly evolving is to have that relationship and that connection with your customers. So I share with you that it's very important in the very beginning when you're starting out and validating your business idea, but you actually also need to make these feedback loops from your customers a part of the design of your business model, because you want to constantly having that feedback that you're still solving their problem, or know if there's other needs that come up for them so that you can meet. Because in the world we live in today, it doesn't exist anymore that you've came up with a business idea, created the product once, and then it's going to work for you for the next 50 to 100 years. It existed in the previous century, but not anymore. Even in my own VPN company, VPN business, we just celebrated 15 years. And we've been changing and evolving the product and the positioning and the way we solve our customers' problems so much in the past 15 years, because the way people use a VPN and the reasons why they use it have evolved so much in over a decade. So this needs to be a part of your design, knowing that you will need to constantly keep the pulse of what your customers need in order to be able to adapt to their needs. And that's how you can have a business that can last a decade and multiple decades and be resilient and profitable by design. And you also had a question there of how do you know when you are ready to leave your corporate job for your business? And And the answer is probably very personal, but from what I see from the examples of my clients who use my system and worked with me before, once they get this first validation that they found that right offer for the right customer niche, and they start having their first paying clients, they get the confidence and validation that they're onto something that the market wants. So I've seen some of them renegotiating their contracts with their employees to just to do the 80%, so work 4 days out of 5. I had a client from Amazon Web Services doing that, and then eventually, if you see, your business is growing and you're getting traction, you can start scaling down your hours in your corporate job to invest more in your company until you feel ready. Does this answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is so much to learn about all this from you, Ksenia, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of women, especially those working in tech, would want to connect with you, learn more about all things that you are doing, and also about your weatherproof business framework. So, what's the best way for them to do so?
So they can find me on my website, kseniavutinova.com, and this is where I also post all the information about my upcoming masterclasses where I teach my framework, as well as share the different free resources that they can start using now, either in the business ideation stage or when they're already taking the first steps building up their business. So there are a lot of resources available on my website. And they can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Ksenia Vutinova Arnaud, and I create a lot of educational content on LinkedIn as well for my audience.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.